Hey guys, it's your boys Dan and Chris from the Sportsheads. Welcome to another session of the Extra Time, where we've got our weekly show, but what we try to do here is just go into a bit more detail about sort of the sports news of the week and sports highlights of the week as well. So, Chris, how are you doing? Firstly,
I'm doing good, man. Over here in Miami, we're still locked down, but enjoying playoffs. Playoffs are here. Finally here. We're excited down here in Miami and across the nation. And, of course, across the pond also for what's about to come over the next couple of months. So let's get it cracking.
One thing we're going to try to do is definitely go through some of our highlights of the bubbles, sort of our NBA bubble awards from the Extra Time, from the team of the Extra Time.
True.
So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the MVP of the bubble. So Chris, who was your MVP of the NBA restart bubble?
This wasn't hard, but there was two players that I had in mind when it came down to picking who it was. My surprise pick or my outside pick was Devin Booker. Devin Booker came to play. He came to play hard in these 8 games, led his team to 8-0. The Suns came as a surprise team also in the bubble, undefeated, all-star being Devin Booker, leading them to those 8 wins. But I have to go with Dame Time as my MVP of the whole bubble to lead his team. And you got to remember, they played 8 games. They pretty much played 8 playoff games. Pretty much. They played 8 playoff games. They won 6 of them. To get into the bubble, had to play the play-in game. He won that also. He was going off. He had 50, 60, 40 points back-to-back games. I got to go with Dame. He really put Portland on his back, and he led them into the playoffs. I got to give Dame MVP of the bubble, man. Who you think, man?
Mate, I can't even disagree. I mean, Devin Booker did great for what he did for his team, but, mate, Dame just came to play. First player since Wilt Chamberlain to score 60-plus points in 3 games in the regular season. You can't discount that. He came to ball. He came to play. I think there was always that conversation where he said at the beginning he didn't really want to go into the bubble if he didn't have anything to play, and now you see why. And so he just came to perform, and stand out for me was definitely him. Definitely shouts out to Devin Booker, and unfortunate for what the Suns weren't able to do in terms of getting the playoff spot. For me, all about Dame Lillard. So now we're going to move towards the coach of the bubble, and who do you think deserves our award for coach of the bubble?
Coach of the bubble, I got to give it to Monty Williams. You don't go 8-0 and don't get money, and don't get coach of the bubble. Those guys came to play. I know a lot of teams, like those teams at the top of the food chain, the Bucks and the Lakers, they really have much to play for. So those guys are resting their players, getting prepared for the playoffs. But those teams that needed to get in, we saw the coaches really dig into them. And the reason I give Monty a lot of love is because he got a lot of young players, and they're coming into a bubble, a lot of distractions or lack thereof, and you never know what you're going to get with those young guys. So for them to come into the bubble 8-0, really focused, gives them a lot to lean on for the next season. So a lot of good building blocks for Monty Williams and the Suns.
Right, Chris, I cannot go against your pick either. I have to put Monty Williams. I think, like I said, if you go unbeaten, it's very hard to actually argue against anyone else. But I think one thing that was a great highlight, obviously the Phoenix Suns, there was a young team. They will definitely grow. They'll definitely get better if they can draft well and draft players to complement Devin Booker. I think that will go really well. But one thing I think the Phoenix Suns showed me in particular is if you remove distractions, you start to see what young people can do. I think, the Phoenix Suns, they're a very young team, and without any distractions, they were able to focus 100% of their basketball, and they were able to go unbeaten. So I think, if they could do that in the regular world, or say outside of the bubble,
next year regular season,
regular season, I should say. I think there'll be a contender, but I think it's a great sign to teams and even players that look, if we put our heads together, we can achieve greatness. And I think that really is, for me, if I was the coach going forward to next season, is to use it as the platform. So look,
that's what I'm saying. In terms of these young guys, they know they can do it. So now moving forward, now they have to do it. Shout out to Nick Nurse though. I know Toronto Raptors are the champions or whatnot, but this is his 2nd season, and he's also in some uncharted territories. And I have to say, the way those guys came to play in the bubble, gives me some cause to pause in terms of who can come out of the East. I'm just saying. So Toronto's playing very well, and so I got to give Nick Nurse a shout out. But I know he didn't have much to play for, but those guys did play very well, very sound in the bubble. So shout out to Nick Nurse.
It's definitely solid. So I think we're going to go move on to our award for the surprise player of the bubble. Who was your surprise player of the bubble?
Honestly, I didn't really know this guy's name before the bubble, but Michael Porter Jr. is my surprise player of the bubble for the Denver Nuggets. The guy came in, I believe in the first game I was watching, and the commentators were just killing him about his defensive assignments and stuff. But after that, he had double back-to-back 30-point games, and he is locked into that 4 spot on their team. I don't see on the 3 spot. I'm sorry, on their team. I don't see anybody taking that from him. The rookie came to play, and he's showing up. He's taking very confident shots. Obviously, he got to get that rookie rust off, and he got to get it on. But it seems like Mike Malone has a lot of faith in him, and he's the player that I honestly, my eyes perked up a little bit when I was watching. I was like, okay, little rookie guy, he coming, you know. So big shout out to Michael Porter Jr. That's the guy that I noticed this bubble.
So I know we've been in agreement for most of the awards. I think for me, my award will go to TJ Warren for the Pacers. I think been quite pleasantly surprised by him in terms of what he's been able to do in the bubble, and sort of he's been able to perform well. Sort of being I think probably I would probably say Pacers best player since the bubble. So I think for me, I would definitely go for him because for me, he wasn't one of those sort of players that sort of jumped on the screen. He wasn't one of those players that people would recognize or even know. So for me to see him, come in now and do really well in the bubble, it gives me, I think he could do well now for the playoffs for the Pacers and potentially cause an upset for the Heats as well. So we have to see. We will have to see.
What happened in that game when they played when he had 12 points? I'm just saying it's not a microcosm, just a microcosm.
Hey, he was surprised. I didn't say he was a superstar. I said he was surprising. So moving on to the penultimate awards. So we're going to go with the highlight of the bubble. What's been your highlight of the NBA bubble? Because for me, it's been a very successful bubble. It's been a very successful concept. I know they've incorporated other elements such as soccer. So let's see, from you, Chris, what's been the highlight of the bubble for you?
My highlight, the highlight of the bubble for me has to be how the team's competitiveness have stayed at a high pitch this whole time. They're not around their families. There's a lot of extra motivation that a lot of guys get outside of the game, but those guys are there on a campus setting, and for them to bring the energy like we're witnessing, it to me was very good. Sometimes you tend up not even missing the fans because the entertainment on the court or the skill level on the court is at a high level, so you tend to appreciate even the nuances of the basketball game. So that was my highlight of it, watching it from a different perspective, no fans, really zoning in. And shout out to the officials too. I think fans and the atmosphere really alter their whistles and their calls, and it's been very fair and they haven't been a storyline. Let's just say that, So
right.
So I would say the success of that, and it's still being successful, has been the highlight for me.
I think the highlight for me has been the fans. In terms of, basically the virtual fans in the stadiums. For those who don't know, they've basically put up screens and had virtual fans. And so you've had people from, Chris Paul's child looking at the game to like Little Wayne. So I think that's been really good and had that, interactive technology element to it. So I think for me, that's been the highlight of the bubble to see that and to get a grasp of that as well. I think that, they've done really well in the bubble concept. I know there were some skeptics out there, but look, they've done well. They're tugging at it right now. And I think as the weeks goes on, I think it's going to be a lot more easier on the players to sort of manage the situation at the moment. So for me, that's definitely been my personal highlight of the bubble.
Are you going to go ahead and go courtside? Are we going to see Dan rooting courtside.
Mate, if they want to give me a free shot from the UK, why not? I'll definitely take it. Represent the UK fans for NBA. So yeah.
Trying to see Dan courtside. Guys.
Maybe. Hey, hashtag that to people in there. Twitter people out for that. Help your boy out. Get some free tickets. But yeah. So we're going to move on to the last award, and there's been many stories. Pre-bubble, still going on a bubble, but during the bubble season as well. So I guess for me, Chris, what's been your story of the bubble?
My story of the bubble is the fact that there is a bubble still.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? The fact that there's still a bubble, these guys are still moving on. There haven't been any COVID positive tests moving forward. Once they started, this has been amazing. I think the NBA has shown all the other professional leagues that they got it right. The NFL still trying to figure it out. College sports is a mess. Major League Baseball has been canceling games every single day. The NHL also, I got to give them a shout. They have some sort of a bubble concept, and the WNBA all following that arena concept that the NBA did. So shout out to them. The fact that we're able to enjoy this, and the fact that we have sports and we don't have to deal with the back and forth of whether we're going to play or not, I think has been the story. The fact that we have games is the story, my friend. Big shout out to Adam Silver and his crew and the NBA for getting it right when they didn't even know what was going to go on, man. Good job, guys.
All right. See, I'm going to go a little bit different than you. I'm going to go to another basketball story. And my story of the bubble was Lou Williams and the whole wing situation. First I only came to take out, and then, reports came up different that you were there, and then it was like, no, there was no entertainment. It was just food. And I was like, a strip club won't be open if there was no strippers. So for me, again, like I said on the show a few weeks back, I can't judge the guy for doing what he did. I just think the timing wasn't great, and it didn't necessarily show good mindset to it all. But overall, for me, he was he did what he needed to do, to be fair. And we're starting to see that even with places like the Seattle's rookie linebacker, getting in trouble as well. So I think that for me that was interesting. That was definitely story of the week. Like you and Dre both told me, definitely check out the wings in a black strip club in America. So I probably have to try it out one of these days. So we'll see.
Dad, I'm telling you, once you get those wings, you start thinking differently. Your morals start changing. You start figuring out whether you could or you can't. I'm just saying, there's something about the wings, right? Not the entertainment, the wings, Dan. It's the wings.
Man, we have to take. Man, whenever I come to Miami, I'll definitely take you up on that.
I got you. But actually, sorry to cut you, but actually on another note, I do want to give a big shout out to the players and keeping the message. I know they're striving for the playoffs, they're looking for a championship, but during the bubble, they really did keep the message of Black Lives Matter and all the things that they need to change, whether it's go out and vote, whether it's being outspoken and using their platform. I just have to say big shout out to the guys wearing it on their jerseys, the back of their jerseys, the allies in the NBA. So we got a big shout out for those guys to keep the message going, because I don't know if you guys over there, that sometimes a lot of the time the message does get diluted after a while, but these guys have kept it going. So I got to give big shout out to them and the networks too, TNT, ESPN for showing the commercials, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's getting cranking over here with that. So shout out to them with that.
For sure as well, and I think it's definitely a good thing what they're doing in terms of the message of equality for all can never be sort of discredited in that, and also from voting as well. We've seen that so many times that voting is definitely something that people need to do more. Definitely don't feel like your vote doesn't count. So definitely, it's been impressive as well. I think the whole setup in general from the NBA has been sort of a well thought out and sort of well executed. So on that note, those are our awards for the NBA bubble. So thanks for joining us on that aspect. Moving on, we've got the games that we want to talk about, and we're not going to go through all the games, guys. Unfortunately, we are going to go through some of the highlighted games, some of the sort of big name ones, and sort of just go through and give our sort of opinions for what we think are going to happen for each round, for which team we think is going to pass each round one of the playoffs. But remember as well, as we are doing this, the games are going ahead as well. So don't judge us if we're wrong by the end of when you're listening to this. But I guess we're going to start off with the Lakers versus Portland. Or the Blazers, as you know, the Blazers were my pick. Portland were my pick. I'm starting to be a bit suspect on that, not because I don't doubt Dame Lillard, but because their defense is atrocious since the start of the bubble. Absolutely atrocious. I don't think I think every game they've been in, it's been a close shooting game. I think they've only won by sort of an average of 4 points. So for me, it's that's scary. But you know what? I picked them. I'll stick to my pick. I think they will lose, but I'll stick to my pick anyways. So who do you have, Chris, for the Lakers versus the Blazers?
So you're going with Portland, right?
I mean, I picked them, so I'll stick with it. I'll stick with my pick.
Oh, so this isn't like a heart pick. This is like I kind of picked them early, so I kind of got to ride with my guys.
Yep.
The series hasn't started. That I'm gonna give you an out. If you want, the series hasn't started yet, you can get on. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give you a chance. If you want to pick the Lakers and you have good reasons.
No, man. That's my integrity going out the window. I need to stick to it. I made a pick. I will stick to it.
This is just a guy changing his mind. You know, a guy can't change his mind.
Mate, I'm British, mate. For the Queen and for the Empire.
I'm testing the will. I'm testing that will.
So I got to stick to it. I got to stick to it, mate. You know what I mean? If I get knighted one of these days, I can't tell the Queen, oh yeah, I lied by my pick. So
I hear you. So in that case, just you got to go with Portland. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Los Angeles Lakers, man, in this series. It is going to be very difficult for them, but I do think that the Portland Trail Blazers have for the last 9 games with the play-in game has just given up so much energy and heart and will to try just to get to the playoffs. I do believe in Damian Lillard, but I do think the King and AD is going to be a little bit too much for them over the course of 7 games. You know, Dame and Melo collectively have only been to the Western Conference Finals twice together combined. So these guys are not known for going deep in the playoffs, and when you got to face and the numbers against the number 1 seed in the playoffs ain't really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Lakers. I think the Lakers will get it together. The king and all his horsemen will go ahead and get on board. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Lakers in 5.
All right. I think my basketball brain would say Lakers in 6, but I will still pick Portland. I pick Portland, so we'll see how it goes. I think it depends on
Portland in 7. Portland in what?
So I picked them. I didn't really pick the game, but I think it might be Portland. Portland in 7. If Portland do win, Portland do win, it'll be in 7. So we're going to move on to the Clippers versus the Mavs. Look, the Clippers haven't really been great since the restart. I mean, they haven't been great all season, to be fair. In my personal opinion, I think for what they've had and the talent, they could have easily dominated and probably potentially could have gone for Golden State's record, personally. But look, they're still a strong team. They've still got a great bench. And then you got Mavs and the Dallas, which are still a relatively young team. But Luka is probably the closest thing we've seen since to Larry Bird. So, I mean, who's your pick for the Clippers versus the Mavs?
I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Clippers. We had a conversation earlier last week, and I was really on Dallas as one of my dark horses, but the seedings hadn't been done yet. So I had actually had the Clippers and possibly Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, but they're matching up in the first round now. So now I'm like, what am I gonna do? I had Dallas as my dark horse, but I gotta go with the Clippers in this one. They have way too many matchup problems for the Dallas Mavericks. There's too many players that the Clippers can throw at Luka. You know, it's way too many. You can do Beverly can pick him a full court. You can put Paul George on him when you need to. You can switch it off to Kawhi. You know, and then when you go pick and roll, you got Montrezl Harrell waiting for you. I just think it's going to take a lot for Luka to dominate. He's been dominating the whole time, but he's going to need those other guys to step up for them to win. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Clippers in 6.
I'm going to take the Clippers. I'm going to take the Clippers. I think they might do it in 5. I think Dallas is a very young team. I think they are a player away from really, really challenging, in my opinion. Look, this is on the basis that the Clippers get their act together and actually stop playing. I'm not entirely sure they will do that, but we will see. So that's my pick for that. I'll probably say sort of Clippers in 5. Moving on to the last game that we're going to talk about in the West, we've got the Rockets versus the Thunders, which should be a good shout out. The Rockets were my pick to go to the finals. I will stick to the pick. I'm not entirely confident on the pick, but I don't want to go for the, I like to go a bit different. I don't want to go for the typical, this is going to happen for sure. So I will go with the Rockets. The Rockets will win in 6. That's my pick. What about you, Chris?
I'm going with CP3 and the Young Boys. Man. OKC has been the surprising team of the season. If you don't remember, ESPN had them at 0.02 chance of making the playoff. We got better chance hitting the lotto, bro. And they go in ahead and they have the 5th seed right now. So I am all on the Chris Paul train. I think he has those young guys playing very well. Steven Adams is going to dominate the middle because Houston loves to go small. So Houston will definitely have to shoot that 3 ball and shoot it very well. But I'm going to go ahead and take OKC. I think those young guys and Chris Paul's wit and swag is going to go ahead and get them the win. But I do see that series going 7. I do see Houston and OKC going 7. All
right. Let's see in it. We got opposite sides, guys. Guys listening. Remember what Chris said. Just remember,
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the East. We're going to cover the 2 games in the East. I mean, unfortunately, some of the East games aren't that great or exciting to predict. But we're going to go with Boston.
That's Dan's disrespect to Brooklyn and Magic, just to say that.
No, not even. I mean, as we speak, Brooklyn are losing the game. So, I mean, let's just keep it real. Let's keep it real. So, yeah. So we've got Boston versus Philly. Who's your pick, Chris, on the 2 games?
I'm gonna go Celtics. The Philly is shorthanded. Ben Simmons obviously out for the season with surgery, and so I'm gonna go with the Celtics. The Celtics look primed to go ahead and take the next step. But I will say, Philadelphia does seem to play better without Ben Simmons. They do efficiently. They play offensive efficiency is way up without Ben Simmons. But in a 7-game series, you're going to need that dog. You need that extra dog with you when all the efficiency goes out the window. So he's not there. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Celtics. Too much manpower. And, yeah.
So I will agree. I think this is the first time I've agreed with you exactly, but I think we agreed on the Clippers as well. But I think I will go with the Bostons and the Celtics. Look, the Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons experiment is bust. It's a bust. It's a write-off.
Oh, you don't like it?
You can quote me now. You can say what you want. It's a bust. It's not working. They are great players individually. They do not work together as a team, and that's fine. Not every jigsaw puzzle can fit, So for me, that's a bust, and I think Philly are going to strike out again. For me, I think Boston are going to do well. I think the Celtics will beat Philly, and Bob's your uncle, as the saying as they go in the UK. So that's it for me. So we're going to move on to your home team. I don't doubt where you are going to go with this, but we're going to go with the Heat versus the Pacers.
Home team or not, I'm going to roll with the Miami Heat. Not because the home team, but we beat these guys 3 out of 4 times in the regular season. The last game was a wash because everyone sat out. But the Miami Heat just have a better team. They're a deeper team, and they just match up very well against the Pacers. The Pacers are going to need some Superman-like performances from T.J. Warren and Oladipo, but I don't see Jimmy Butler having that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Heat. I think it's gonna get dicey. It's gonna get a little chippy, and so I'm gonna say it could go 7. It could go 7, but I'm gonna say the Heat in 6.
I think we both agree on our picks for the East because I'm gonna go with the Heat as well. I think Jimmy Butler has carried the team really well for them. I think also as well, if I'm gonna be honest with you, Iguodala probably will be a factor in terms of having that playoff experience, having that championship experience. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm probably going to go with the Heat. I think the Pacers will give them some run for their money, but I think overall the Heat will sort of come out on top. So yeah, so that's it for me on that end.
That was good.
So that's it for our picks, guys. Remember our picks. We're gonna sort of tally up towards the end as well. Try and have a little competition as well. Remember, look. Like and subscribe to the videos. Remember to like and subscribe to Sportsheads. Look, guys, we're going to probably put more content out on Instagram when it comes to the picks as well. So we're probably going to try and, do the NBA experts, which are the Sportsheads, versus, everyone else. Probably try and put
I like that.
Probably a competition out there at the end as well. So remember to stay tuned, to like as well. We love you guys. And, continue to like and subscribe to our channel to show us much love as well. Chris, mate, it's been a pleasure. Chris. I'm going to leave you to get off to do your boxing. Hopefully let's enjoy some NBA playoffs.
All right, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about recap the games tonight and talk about the games for tomorrow. Let's go.
Let's go.